we're going to take a look at factoring trinomials. And specifically, we're going to look at trinomials that are in the form of x squared plus or minus bx plus or minus 1, but where a equals 1. We'll focus on what a equals something else in a moment or two. But there are different strategies that can help us do that. And there's just one strategy. It's called the diamond method, which I'm going to review here in a second. One thing we have to do is we have to remember that the diamond method is just a tool. It's not the final factoring or the solution to a problem. It's just something that's able for us to get where we're going. Okay, well, basically, I have a handout, which you guys can't see there, but this kind of tells us what we need to do is that we're going to take the terms into the diamond from their signs. And the top of the diamond is where we're going to take the coefficient of the first term, and that would be the a, and we're going to multiply that in the expression to the constant in the third term of the expression, which is the c. We multiply these two together, they're going to go on top of the diamond. On the bottom of the diamond, we're going to write the coefficient of the second term, which is this b, and we're going to make sure that we include their signs. Then what we do is we think about what two numbers multiply to give us the top of the diamond and add together to give us the bottom of the diamond. What this will do is this will help us to rewrite that center of the trinomial into a 4-term polynomial. We want to do that because then we can rewrite it in 4 terms and solve it as a 4-term polynomial, because now that second term is now 2 terms. And then we're going to use grouping, basically our method, to find the 2 binomials. So let's kind of review again what that looks like as far as what the diamond method looks like. We start with this thing. It looks like a giant X, and the reason we call it a diamond is we could put a rhombus on the outside, which is otherwise known as a diamond. Again, when we're looking at this ax squared plus or minus bx plus or minus c, the coefficients of a and c, we would multiply those together, put them on the top, and then we would put the b on the bottom. What we do then is we take a look and say, okay, what would be 2 numbers that would multiply together to give us that product, but add together to give us the sum? Once we do that, we'll be able to rewrite the middle term. So if you were to watch what I'm doing right here, we would take the number 1. 1 times 8 would be positive 8. On the bottom, we would put positive 6. Because they're both positive, that means these would be positive. What 2 positive numbers multiply together to get 8 and add together to get 6? We would get 4 and 2. So then what we would do then is take these numbers here, this 4 and this 2, and it would help us to rewrite this 6x. So it would be basically saying x squared plus, and this is where those new terms that we just wrote, 4x plus 2x, and then plus 8. And as you can see, all we did was rewrite 4x plus 2x from the 6x. So we kind of just rewrote this a little bit. We're then going to follow our procedure for solving by grouping. We're going to look at the first half of the polynomial, x squared plus 4x, and pull out the greatest common factor, which is x, leaves behind an x plus 4. Write that same binomial on the other side, and think 4 times what would give us 8, that's positive 2, and 2 times x is 2x. We then pull out the common binomial, which is x plus 4, and what gets left behind is x plus 2. So now we have fully factored x squared plus 6x plus 8 into 2 binomials, x plus 4 times x plus 2. I can prove that by taking these and multiplying out. So I can have x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 2 is 8. And add those up, and I'm back where I was. So that shows how these 2 binomials do work out to be those polynomial here that's up here. Okay, so let's practice a little bit. Let's take a look at some things. Here we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. We'll put positive 12 on top of the diamond, positive 7 on the bottom. Again, because we're multiplying times 1, it looks like we're just grabbing this number. So always remember multiplying times whatever that coefficient out front is. So we need a positive 4 and a positive 3. We're going to rewrite this term of this polynomial, x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12. We're going to cut it in half, factor out the greatest common factor, which is x, which is behind an x plus 4. Write the binomial on the other side, positive 3, and our 2 binomials are x plus 4 and x plus 3. We're going to do it again here. We'll put the positive 36 on top, positive 13 on the bottom. Again, because they're all positive, these will be positives. The numbers 9 and 4 will help us out. So let's rewrite this trinomial. X squared plus 9x plus 4x plus 36. And again, we're going to just cut it in half. Take a look at the left side, pull out the greatest common factor of x, leaves behind x plus 9. And multiply that times 4, and we have x plus 9 times x plus 4. Let's practice a few more times here with some different things happening to the b. Again, we still have positive 12, and now we have a negative 8. In order for this to be negative and this to be positive, we're going to multiply two negative numbers together to get us positive 12, add together to give us 8. That would be negative 6 and negative 2. So this is where it's really important to put the signs in there and make sure that you're writing all the signs down. X squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 12. And again, these can be reversed. You can have negative 6 on one side and negative 2 on the other. It doesn't really matter. We're going to take a look at the left side, greatest common factor. Pull out an x, leaves behind an x minus 6. We're going to multiply x minus 6 times negative 2 to get us back to that binomial there. Common binomial x minus 6 leaves behind x minus 2. We're going to do it one more time before we look at negative c's. We'll have positive 20 on the top, negative 9 on the bottom. Again, because this is positive, this is negative, it's going to give us two negatives here. And those numbers will be 4 and 5. And we're going to rewrite x squared minus 4x minus 5x plus 20. And again, commutative property of addition says we could switch those around. So if you did that, that's fine. Look at the left side. Common factor is x, leaves behind x minus 4. X minus 4 over here, and that leaves negative 5 to multiply back. So that leaves it with x minus 4 and x minus 5 as the two binomials of that expression. We'll take a look at what it means to have a negative constant. So again, remember there's a 1 out here. So 1 times negative 18 is negative 18. On the bottom, we're going to put negative 3. Because we're multiplying to get a negative, one number needs to be positive, one number needs to be negative. We can think of all the things that give us 18, such as 18 and 1, 9 and 2, 6 and 3. But because of the opposite signs, we're looking for a difference of 3. This has a difference of 17. This has a difference of 7. This one fits the bill with a difference of 3. Make sure the larger number goes with the sign that we want. So since we want more negatives, negative 6, positive 3, and then we proceed from there. So let's work some problems out in its entirety. X squared minus 8x minus 20. So we'll put a negative 20 on the top of the diamond and negative 8 on the bottom of the diamond. We need opposite signs to get that negative, and we're going to think of things that give us 20. Well, 10 and 2 will work. We need to make sure that the negative is 10, positive is 2, because when we add them together, we should get negative 8. X squared plus 2x minus 10x minus 20. We're going to cut it in half, and be careful when you cut it in half that you don't change that negative sign into a positive sign by accident. Look for the greatest common factor on the left side, which is x, leaves behind x plus 2. Put x plus 2 on this side. We'll multiply that times negative 10. And then our two binomials are x plus 2 and x minus 10. We'll look at it again here. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. We'll look here and it'll be negative 4 and positive 3. Again, this will be a negative and a positive. So we'll have positive 4 and negative 1. So we rewrite x squared minus x plus 4x minus 4. Cut it in half. Greatest common factor is x, leaves behind x minus 1, x minus 1, and we'll put plus 4 here. So we get x minus 1 and x plus 4. Now, don't worry about if you get double variables. You don't have to worry about the yz and the z squared. We'll just put that in the end. Again, just look at the numbers. Negative 28, negative 12. A positive and a negative is what you need. 14 and 2 will get the job done. And so when we go to rewrite this, y squared minus 14, well, since we need yz's, there'll be 14 yz's. We need positive 2 yz's. And here, that's going to be negative 28 z squared. Remember, we're just rewriting that center section. Again, look for the greatest common factor, which is y. Leaves behind y minus 14z. Write down y minus 14z on the other side, and you'll see that that's positive 2, giving us y plus 2 and y minus 14z. Remember, it does not matter which order you put your binomials in. One more time for good measure. Negative 14 on top, positive 5 on the bottom. Again, a negative and a positive, the numbers 7 and 2 will work. We'll go ahead and rewrite this. U squared minus 2u plus 7u minus 14. Cut it in half. Greatest common factor is u. This is times u minus 2. We'll put a u minus 2 on the other side. This is times 7. So our two binomials will be u minus 2 and u plus 7. Hopefully this will help you in order to be able to factor trinomials.